Hi YouTube, this is Trilla Minute. I have a project I'm going to try tonight, and I'm going to try to just bring you along and see how this turns out. I've already identified some problems. I was on Homestead Honey Hour this last Thursday watching chat, and there were some people on there talking about rendering pork fat into lard and then canning it, and I thought, well, this is something I can try. I've never done it before, and I've been looking for ways to preserve oil products and shortenings. I went into YouTube and I looked at some videos that were already posted, and they were very informative, but I thought I would be real smart and try something different to see how that worked out, because some of the people were making little tiny cuts and cubes of their pork fat to render, and I thought, well, let me bring this home and try something different. But first I want to talk to you about the pork fat that we had available here in Las Vegas. I went to the local butcher shop at lunch hour and picked up some pork bat fat. They didn't have the leaf fat, so this is all I'm able to get in this area. And this is the price per pound in our area. So it's pre-packaged and frozen, so I've let it defrost. And I'm now home, and I have opened one package, and I took portions of it out, and I decided I would try, instead of cutting into little pieces, my idea was to put it in my handy dandy food processor and just cut it up like that. Well, this is the glob of fat I ended up with. You'll see it's not little cubes, it's more like kind of a paste. So I've cleaned out my little food processor, and I put this in a crock pot with some water, and I'm going to be rendering that, see how it comes out. But I've quickly learned that you ladies that have already done this on YouTube have the best idea. So I'm going to be cutting mine into little cubes and rendering it into a larger pot. I'm going to try also to take the cracklings that come out of this, make sure they've been rendered and they're pretty crisp. And I thought about dry canning them like you would the hamburger that we've been trying. I've done some of the dry hamburger meat canning, and I thought I'd try that to see what those chitlins or cracklings, I guess, not chitlins, would be like if they were dry canned. In the pantry, I could use them later on salads or little snacks, and so we're going to see how that works as well. So I'm going to try a couple of different techniques with this fat to get the most out of it I can. So after I've cut this up, I'll come back and show you what it looks like in the pot. Okay, we're back, and I've been cutting these in this pork fat. It's actually called pork back fat, into cubes, and I've got here almost 3.5 pounds. I still need to do my second package. What I wanted to show you is that I started out using my Cutco knife. Well, it's pretty darn dull. I need to get me a new knife. So I've gone to my kitchen shears. This is a multi-use tool. Can opener, knife, screwdriver, pliers. It comes apart, and it just zipped right through that pork back fat. So what I'm going to do next is put this into the large pot and get it going, and then I will start doing the second pack, and I'll come back and show you the results. Okay, earlier in the video I talked about how I had taken some of the pork back fat and put it in my blender to try to see if I could, not my blender, my food processor, to see if I could cut it up smaller rather than manually cutting up, maybe be a time saver. And it came out a real gooey mess, so I put it in the crock pot with just a little water on the bottom to start rendering it and see what it would turn out. This is what I have so far, and I'm really pleasantly surprised, because when you look at it, it seems to have separated out pretty good and is rendering pretty fast. I had it on high for the crock pot, but I have placed it on low, And I'm going to be stirring this about every 10-15 minutes, as other YouTubers have done. Oops, I'm steaming up my camera. So we'll be trying that, and I'm going to can it maybe separately. I haven't decided on that, just to see if there's a quality difference. But it's really, I'm very pleased with how this is coming out. So I'll come back with you into the other pot in a little bit. Okay, I'm back showing you a little bit of where we are with rendering the pork back fat. And I have tried two different methods. I've been doing some of it in a crock pot, as well as some of it in my larger stew pot. So what I have been doing as I get some more grease, I've been stirring it. I have set my timer for every 30 minutes right now. And I've been draining some of the lard that we're making into a strainer into this bowl right here. I started this last night after work, and I just got too tired to finish it. So I'm back this morning rendering the fat to get it ready so that I'll be able to can it later today. And I'll bring this back when we get closer to the canning process. And it does smell like pork in here too, which is not a bad smell. We're right now at the stage that I'm putting some of the lard that I've rendered, it's in liquid form right now, into one of my canning jars. I strained it first when it went in from the pot into the bowl, and now I'm straining it one more time before it goes into my canning jar. Once I have the jar almost full, I'm going to be wiping the rims with vinegar simply because it's oil and I want to get a real good seal. So I have water heating in the microwave real hot. I like to use an oversized Pyrex measuring cup, and then I drop my lids and rings into it and let it sit for a while and get really hot, and then I'll put it on the jar, and I'm going to be holding it until I get another jar in warm water in my Presto. Okay, YouTube, this is what happens when a jar fails and busts. The water was warm before I put it in. I had some other jars in there, and I set my jar in the warm water, and it was on the raised little rack that you use with your canner. And I heard this pop, which I knew it shouldn't be pinging. I hadn't even started it, and the whole bottom busted out. Pardon my language, the whole friggin' bottom. So I have lost half of what I was working on, and I'm not a happy camper. Once the other jars have canned and cooled off, I'll show you the one jar that I'll be able to store in my preps, and then I put a couple little jars of some sausage in there because I don't like to pressure can with just one jar in there, and try to figure out what happened with this jar. So that was frustrating. So you get to see my failures as well as my successes, and I think this was not my failure. I really think it was a cheap jar. Okay, I'll come back. Okay, YouTube, this is the conclusion of the adventure in rendering fat and making lard. And I just wanted to show you what I ended up with. I have a quart jar that is still cooling, and I had 1 quart jar that failed and busted before I was able to start pressure cooking. And then I had this little half pint, and that was from about 5.5 pounds, 6 pounds of fat that was rendered. I wanted to show you what I currently store for my fats in preps. I have a store brand shortening, and there are additives in that. Some of the oils and fats I've stored, I had purchased them before I really educated myself on the benefits of lard and butter and olive oil, which I've used for a while. So I actually had vegetable oil in my pantry, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with all that vegetable oil. Then I also have purchased for long-term storage shortening powder, and so that would be something that I would use as my last resorts if I did not have butters, oils, and other shortenings. This one's still solidifying, and I'm going to just sit this one in my refrigerator and hold on to it for to use as cooking. And then the quart jar I'll put back in my storage cabinet. I wanted to show you my other oils that I have. I have, of course, my butter, and I have salted and unsalted butter. I use it. I canned butter after watching Bear Prepper, and so I have some little jars of canned butter, and then I also have butter powder. I kind of prep with the idea of redundancy. Fresh, as long as I can have fresh, because remember, I'm in a suburb and I won't have access to my own chickens or cows. There's just, you've seen my backyard, it's tiny, and there's HOA. Canned for possibly if I wanted to spread something, butter that I could mix up with a little bit of water if I wanted it for cooking. So that's what I have. And then of course I have my olive oil. I use it a lot. So we don't do lots of frying, even though I am a southern girl, a Texan. I don't fry a lot, so I saute more than I do that. So this has been the adventure conclusion of rendering fat into lard. I now have the skill learned, which was the goal, have the skill learned if I had to do it in the future. I might not be going out and buying the fat to do this anytime soon again. I'm going to use my efforts instead for canning meats, which I love to do, and dehydrating. So that's the conclusion. Happy prepping. This is Trilla Minute signing off. Bye.